My brother Blake asked if I was still running my cute little business while my parents laughed into dinner. Minutes later, they were staring at the sale documents, and suddenly I was family again. Teresa, my mother, invited me home after 11 years. She said people changed. I almost said no, but I wanted to see if they had gotten wiser. Blake was my older brother, the finance guy, the golden child praised for ordinary adult decisions. I was the creative one. My work was an art hobby. Clients were little projects. At 17, I told relatives I wanted a branding studio. Douglas called it a little design business, and people chuckled. Blake said, if a lemonade stand needs a vision statement, she's covered. So I learned to laugh when Blake called my work stickers, when Douglas said nobody built a life making things look pretty, and when Teresa said, Sienna, don't be so sensitive. At 23, I moved to Austin. Douglas said failing far away might teach me faster. Teresa warned me not to call home. Blake toasted Sienna's future bankruptcy. I left with 2 suitcases and a laptop. Austin was late invoices and meals at a secondhand desk. I designed labels, menus, pitch decks, anything that paid. When one contract wiped out 40% of my revenue, I cut costs and kept going. Years later, Alder and Inc. sold for $170 million in structured value. My family had never asked what I was building. On Christmas Eve, Teresa opened the door like we were close. Douglas asked if Austin still had room for startup fantasies. Blake arrived and said, wow, Sienna actually came. Same house, same table. Dinner started with Teresa filling Blake's glass before he asked. She asked if I was still doing branding. I said yes. Douglas asked if it was steady. I said it had treated me well. Then Blake leaned back. Still running that cute little business in Texas, or did the real world finally catch up? Teresa laughed softly. Douglas smiled at his plate. They waited for me to shrink. I set my fork down. Actually, I sold my company. Blake laughed. Your little worthless business? For how much? I looked at all 3 of them. The candles were still burning. The roast was getting cold. For once, nobody was talking over me. 170 million, I said. The room went silent. Blake's smile disappeared. Douglas froze with his glass halfway lifted. Teresa leaned forward like the number might change if she got closer. Blake tried to laugh again, but it came out thin. Sure. I unlocked my phone and showed him the closing summary, attorney email, transfer confirmation, and valuation structure. The truth was impossible to brush off. Douglas took the phone after Blake. His face shifted from doubt to calculation. Teresa whispered, $170 million? Yes, I said. The deal closed yesterday. Blake pushed his chair back. For branding? For the company all of you called worthless, I said. Teresa asked why I had kept something so important from my family. Because you never treated it like it mattered, I said. You don't get invited into the final chapter after mocking the first draft. Blake said families tease. Douglas said they only wanted me realistic. Teresa claimed she always knew I was talented. They were editing themselves into supporters. No, I said. You dismissed me in public. You ignored me for 11 years. You only respect my work now because it came with a number big enough for you to understand. Nobody answered. That was the best part. Not the money. The silence. Then Blake asked carefully, so what happens now? There it was. Not are you happy? Not what did it cost? Just what do we get? Douglas admitted the family store was drowning in debt. Blake confessed one property deal was collapsing and he needed a loan. My worth had gone from embarrassing to useful before dessert. Teresa said, we're not asking for much, just help your family. I stood and took my coat. You ignored me for 11 years, called my life worthless, and now you remember I'm family because I became valuable. Blake said some of my success belonged to them because I had not come from nowhere. I looked him in the eye. No part of what I built belongs to you. Not the risk, not the work, not the exit. You don't get equity in the damage you caused. I walked out while Teresa cried behind me. Blake followed and asked for money again. I told him, you taught me I was on my own. I listened. After that came calls, texts, emails, and sudden concern. I answered none of it. Douglas lost the store when the debt caught him. Blake's partnership collapsed. Weeks later, Teresa posted an old photo calling me her brilliant daughter, and Blake commented that talent ran in the family. I stared at it, then blocked them again. Back in Austin, my phone kept lighting up inside the house. I left it face down while I ate dinner in the quiet life I built without them.